Candace Owens walked onto the view stage with purposeful steps. The studio lights felt warm, the audience applause polite but measured. She paused briefly, nodded to the hosts. Whoopi, Sunny, Joy, Sarah, all seated in their usual spots. She took the center seat, set her handbag gently by her side, and met their eyes with steady composure. Whoopi leaned forward first, voice warm but contained. She said, "Welcome, Candace Owens. You've made headlines again this week with your comments on parental choice in education. We're glad you're here." Candace smiled once, small and still. She said, "Thank you, Whoopi. I'm glad to be here." The audience clapped softly, just enough to mark her arrival. Sunny Hostin spoke next. Her tone carried professional curiosity. She said, "Candace, you recently said parents should decide whether their child can use preferred pronouns in school. Critics say that forces schools into part of culture wars. What do you say to them?" Candace kept her expression calm. She said, "I say parents have responsibility, not schools. Schools are for learning, math, history, science, not for shaping a child's personal identity when it's still being formed." A hush fell. The audience seemed to lean in. Joy Behar chimed in, voice curious. She said, "But what if a child is struggling with identity and looks to their teacher for support? Don't we owe them that?" Candace gave a nod. She said, "I support compassion. But shouldn't that compassion start at home? Parents should guide kids through confusion. Teachers can support, but not substitute." There was a shift in the air, subtle but present. Sarah Haynes asked softly, "You've been clear on this. What about mental health professionals being part of the solution?" Candace leaned in, tone steady. She said, "I trust professionals. I trust therapy. But I don't trust bureaucrats or committees with no accountability making life-altering decisions for minors without parents knowing." An unspoken tension held in the room. The audience shifted, murmurs low but present. Whoopi gently cleared her throat. She said, "Some view your stance as taking parental rights too far. They worry it amplifies fear and division." Candace looked directly at Whoopi. Her tone remained calm. She said, "I say it amplifies responsibility. We're talking about children, not policy winners." Whoopi nodded, as if expecting that answer. The cameras panned over the audience. The atmosphere felt poised, between welcome and confrontation. Sunny's next question came with a cautious edge. She said, "You've recently aligned with a national organization that supports anti-CRT campaigns. Some parents report feeling targeted. Is that a fair criticism?" Candace didn't hesitate. She said, "No. I stand by parents who fight for their children's understanding of history. Teaching facts isn't left or right. It's foundation." Joy leaned forward, tone sharp. She said, "But facts about America's past are painful. If stories of slavery, segregation, genocide are taught plainly, isn't that valuable?" Candace gave a nod. Her expression held steady. She said, "Yes, it's essential. But critical race theory goes beyond facts. It teaches abstract frameworks that divide and ignore context." A noticeable tension had surfaced in the studio. The laughter sign was off. The vibe felt more courtroom than talk show. Sarah looked at Whoopi, who nodded. Whoopi said, "Let's bring this home. Candace, your critics say your message creates more division, not unity. What do you say to parents who say they feel attacked by your words?" Candace paused for a heartbeat, then said softly, "I say if you feel attacked, ask why. Who benefits from that division? Is it one side, or all of us if we lose trust in parents helping children?" The audience began to stir. Some nodded. Some looked unsettled. Sunny spoke quietly. "You're asking for personal responsibility, but isn't it also responsibility of institutions?" Candace leaned forward, determination in her eyes. She said, "It's shared. But shared means open. It doesn't mean hiding behind edicts, committees, ideology." A charged silence filled the air. The audience held its breath. Joy cleared her throat. She said, "This is deeper than pronouns or curriculum. It's about power and who holds it." Candace met her gaze. She said, "Exactly." The studio lights seemed to dim by a fraction. The rhythm slowed. That quiet before the storm, it soaked into the space. Candace's words hung in the air like a slow-moving storm. The hosts exchanged looks, measuring the moment. The studio lights didn't change, but the atmosphere did, tilted, tense, alive. Joy Behar spoke next, voice measured. She said, "But of course, your critics say this goes beyond schools. They say it's political theater meant to energize a base. Are you performing for power?" Candace's face remained calm. She said, "No. I'm speaking to parents who feel ignored. I'm speaking because I care about what shapes their children's lives." Her gaze swept across the panel. "I'm not performing. I'm protecting." Sunny Hostin leaned forward, her tone softer, but serious. She said, "You talk about protecting kids, but some of your group's rhetoric has been accused of fostering hostility towards LGBTQ families. Aren't you concerned about harm?" Candace paused briefly, an actor's pause, but pure intention. She said, "I'm deeply concerned about harm. But real harm is mental health struggles left untreated, families fractured. Hiding under politically correct fear doesn't heal anyone." She leaned back, the energy shifting, proactive calm, as though she were guiding the storm. The audience shifted, leaning forward. Tension had texture now. Whoopi's voice softened. She said, "It sounds like you're asking for dialogue, not battle. Do you believe there's room for grace in this?" Candace looked directly at her. She said, "Absolutely. But grace isn't silence. Grace is listening. Listening means engaging, not canceling or shutting down conversation." Joy Behar's voice cut through, sudden. She said, "You once blasted progressives as tyrants and tolerants. That's not graceful. That's provocative. What was that about?" Candace's eyes didn't flicker away. She said, "That was about calling out hypocrisy, not about shutting down people, but about calling out those who shut down others. If what you say can't stand in public debate, maybe you should reconsider it." The audience stirred, some leaning forward, others shifting uneasily. Sunny Hostin's jaw tightened slightly. She said, "Calling it out is one thing. Publicly humiliating people, amplifying rage, that's another. You know the reaction your words get. How do you live with that?" Candace's expression softened. Her voice lowered. She said, "I live with that because I believe in parent-child bonds, not culture war trophies. I live with that because my voice gives others theirs. If that shakes cages, good. It's cages that worry me." The panel silence was heavier than any of the earlier tension. The audience gasped softly, caught between admiration and discomfort. Tension rose, boiling under calm words. The moment thickened. Joy leaned back, shaken. She said, "Candace, I have to ask. I've been told you're about to announce a new initiative targeting school board races. Is that true?" Candace leaned forward quickly, gaze fierce. She said, "Yes. Because if we don't have parents on school boards who question these policies, who insist on transparency, then schools become societies unto themselves. A society where parents don't decide their children's moral or academic compass." Her tone sharpened, quiet but unstoppable. "I'm not running to lead. I'm running to remind. Remind people that policy without accountability is arrogance." The audience exhaled, some in applause, others in stunned silence. A beat passed. Then Candace stood, bags at her feet, voice resolute. She said, "I don't want conflict. I want clarity. I don't want headlines. I want homework. And I want it done." She paused, looked at each host. Her final words dropped like weight. She said, "If that shakes up your show, I'm sorry. But I'm not sorry that people shook." Without waiting for a response, she walked off stage, heels clicking a path through tension, clarity, conviction. The host sat frozen. The audience, gasping softly, sat in raw reaction. The laughter sign never lit. The studio remained motionless as Candace's heels echoed away. Whoopi, Sunny, Joy, and Sarah stared after her, the panel frozen in a tableau of shock. The applause sign above still dark, the band silent, their absence stretching across the set. Suddenly, the cameras clicked off. Lights dimmed in the audience, and technical crew began packing cables. A stage manager walked backstage but paused near the panel, exchanging glances with the hosts. Whoopi finally spoke, her voice uncertain. "Well, that was something." Joy forced a small laugh. "Yeah, something." Her smile trembled. "I mean, I guess we, didn't see that coming. Sunny's brow furrowed. She glanced at Joy, then at Whoopi, her voice lower, restrained. Candace, she explicitly threatened to, well, I don't know. But she said she was running for school board, and that she doesn't want headlines. She wants homework. Sarah cleared her throat, her tone neutral but edged. That part about accountability and parents, that hit something. Whoopi nodded slowly. Yeah, this isn't just posturing anymore. The band sounded in, awkward and uncertain. Music washed over the emptiness like wet cloth. Backstage, Candace stood near the exit, coat in hand. A producer approached, voice low. You okay? Candace looked up, calm luminous. She said, I'm fine. I said what needed to be said. The producer shook her head. The network's not sure what to do. They're reviewing the footage. There might be backlash. Candace's gaze didn't waver. She said, then let them have it. Accountability starts with conversation. She walked away before the producer could reply. Her silhouette vanished around the corner, confidence steady. By morning, headlines exploded. Twitter debated. News cycles churned with variations of the same question. Was Candace Owens right? Out? Or did she go too far? Opinion columns exploded. Parents were quoted, some whispering relief, others discomfort. On CNN, a political analyst said, she shifted the culture war from social media to school board turf. On Fox News, a commentator said, Candace Owens just showed what happens when you stop pretending and start campaigning. NBC ran a muted report. Candace Owens appears to threaten school board campaign. They added, late-night shows prefer lighter fare. The host families watching The View talked the moment over dinner, in group texts, at work the next day. At a local school board meeting in suburban Texas, a parent held a printout of Candace's statements. They said, if we don't ask for transparency, we're complicit. The room erupted in debate. Candace's voice, her exact words, had become a refracted light in living rooms, cafeterias, meeting halls. Back in the city, Whoopi stepped onto the View stage the next morning. She paused, looked across the panel. She said, so, Candace Owens, the conversation about parental oversight just got personal. Joy leaned forward. Yes, it did. Sunny continued, measured. When someone storms out, it's one thing. When they challenge the setup. Sarah added, when they claim you're encroaching on parental rights, it's another. Whoopi looked into the camera, her tone steady but aware. We're going to talk about that. The episode aired with a sharper edge. No laughter tracks. No pinkies raised. The panel dug into remote statements, policy, repercussions. Mom and dad guests joined via Zoom, some angry, some supportive. The audience reacted live. It was no longer fluff. It was dialogue. Far from the show, Candace announced her candidacy for a local school board seat. She posted a photo, herself in a school gymnasium, chalkboard behind her reading Truth in Education. Caption said, from stage to schoolhouse. The shift wasn't everything, and it wasn't nothing. But what had been a talk show moment had reset expectations. Late night couldn't be guaranteed safe. School boards couldn't be assumed silent. For many, parental oversight felt urgent in ways it hadn't before. It ended not with agreement, but with consequence. Candace didn't return to The View. The show didn't request her back. They couldn't. She stormed off stage, and communities leaned in. And that's where it paused. Not at a resolution, not at victory, but at the question hanging in every parent's mind. Whose house is it when the world watches?